Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is Jackie Yaki of High Adventure Ministries. And today, my very good friend, Barry Siegel, right from Jerusalem, Israel, is going to be doing an episode of his series, Roots and Reflections. Oh, it is wonderful. And it's about different places in Israel. You're going to be there to see and learn some biblical teachings right in the Holy Land. Come on, let's go see what Barry has to say.
Join us in celebrating the Festival of Purim on this edition of Roots and Reflections, as recorded in the Book of Esther. Joyous deliverance came to the Jewish people 2,500 years ago, in the days of the Persian Empire, in response to fasting and prayer led by Queen Esther against the genocidal decree of the wicked Haman. In modern Israel, the biggest Purim parade takes place in Holon, a city just south of Tel Aviv. We're about to celebrate the biggest party in all of Israel for Purim. Yay, Purim! Yay, Purim! And to do that, there's going to be a lot of rash, which means noise, lots of noise. Rash, rash, rash. Well, we've got a little time to waste, so we're going to go and try and find a cafe and a place to eat at Oznei Haman. Shalom. חג שמח, אוזני המן. מה יש? שוקולד ומה עוד? רק שוקולד, אוקיי. תן לי שקית קטן. Well, we've got to have coffee. Look what I got. I got us Oznei Haman. Yeah, one for you. You know, some tradition says that Oznei Haman has to do with the ears that drooped down from Haman when he was found guilty. His ears dropped down, and that's why some people call it Oznei Haman, the ears of Haman. But it's better to eat them than to wear them as earrings. What do you think, Liran?
They're really good. This is also healthy, you know, in a way. Chocolate is good for you sometimes.
I understand that we're about to meet Captain America, but Captain America here in Holon only speaks Hebrew because when in Israel, speak as the Hebrews speak. So let's talk to Captain America. Hi, Shalom.
היי,
מה שלומך?
בסדר.
איך קוראים לך?
קפטן אמריקה.
עוד משהו אתה רוצה להגיד ביום הפורים?
כן. הגלימה שלי מזה...
What I must do is help anyone in trouble. I must save them. My sword saves everyone.
והחרב שלי היא מצילה את כולם.
We'll hear more from Captain America later in Roots and Reflections when he faces off against Haman and other modern-day bad guys. But now it's time for the Holon Purim Day Parade. We've joined nearly 200,000 spectators along Holon streets, viewing the pavement spectacle performed by a cast of 4,000. Isn't it fun to be a child again? Goody, 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 goody. In Holon, during Purim, we had to take on an undercover agent. Her name is Liran. Liran, tell us what's happening in Holon today.
It's very crowded. I'm telling you, there's like so many people, okay? And they're all the little kids, they're all dressed up like fairies and cowboys and cowgirls and Superman. But I decided that it's really hot today, and since it's hot, I decided to wear an umbrella hat. I know it's embarrassing, but it's really hot.
We already tasted some Oznei Haman, or Haman's ears, known as Hamantaschen in Yiddish. Israelis consume 30 million of these during the Purim holidays, mostly the original poppy seed and chocolate-filled varieties, but the home-baked ones are really best. Oznei Haman Purim, Batya Siegel Baking.
It's time for Oznei Haman. It's Oznaim is this. Ozen is an ear, and we call these great, delicious cookies Oznei Haman. And that's what we eat at Purim. Okay, let's do it together. Put a whole kilo of flour, 1 cup of sugar, and then we put the eggs, 2 eggs. And we're going to put the orange juice. And the butter. But we're going to melt the butter first. And we're mixing it until it becomes a real nice working dough. Now I'm going to start doing it by hand. And if you don't have orange juice, you can put water if you want, or soy milk or almond milk, any kind of liquid. Now I'm going to grate a little bit of the orange peel and put it in the dough, just for flavoring. Haman ears, Oznei Haman. Taking the dough. I normally add a little bit of vanilla too to it. We're coming to the stuffing part. Now we can put this, we can stuff it with poppy seeds, we can stuff it with all sorts of things, but the one I like is the dates with coconuts, sesame seeds, and a little bit of a wine that adds a little bit flavor, and the dry fruit that I actually prepared earlier. You can smell the wine. What's good about the dates is they're holding all the fruits together. So, oh, you see how nice it is? The texture is really easy to work with now. You see? It's really nice. Okay, now we roll out the dough. Make it flat. Now we take a round cup and we make circles. Okay, now we are folding them to make them like the ears. Now the size of the ears are, you can make it different if you use different rounds. I use this one. It's pretty big, but it's nice. It's a nice size. Now they're ready for the oven. Okay, time to eat the Oznei Haman. Barry has to taste this to see if it passed the test. Time to eat, Barry. Now what I've labored for such a long time, Barry's going to devour in just seconds.
That is simply delicious.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so delighted.
Baltia makes the best Oznei Haman that I know of west of Persia. And of course, one for all of you.
Join Jackie Yaki and High Adventure Ministries as they embark on a journey of a lifetime to Israel. Take a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee and be baptized in the Jordan River. Travel to Masada, Nazareth, Mount Carmel, Caesarea, and Bethlehem, the birthplace of Christ. Then walk where Jesus walked as you explore the magnificent city of Jerusalem. Space is limited, so call 1-800-517-HOPE. Make plans to attend today. That's 1-800-517-4673.
Purim time. It's right here. Purim celebrations are preceded by the all-day fast of Esther, commemorating the queen's prayers before she intervened with King Ahasuerus on behalf of her people. We're at the Mivaseret Zion Reform Congregation near Jerusalem, and as we approach the end of evening prayers, the reading of the Megillah or scroll begins. Congregants take turns reading through the entire scroll of Esther and follow the tradition of making noise, ra'ash, whenever the name of the wicked Haman is read aloud.
This is a grogger, and this is one of the means when the name Haman is mentioned in the scroll, you have to make noise. The making of the noise is supposed to erase his existence. So you can either use the grogger. This was actually made by a Czech artist, and it makes a terrible noise. Mine is the worst of all the groggers that are being sounded in this synagogue. And then there are all these little ones, the plastic ones that the children hold, and you can clap your hands, you can tap with your shoes on the floor, whatever you do just to erase the name.
The backdrop for the Book of Esther is the castle of Susa, or Shushan the palace. It served as the winter capital for such great Persian kings as Darius, Cyrus, and later Xerxes. This last one is often identified with the biblical king Ahasuerus. Summers are very hot in this low-lying area of Iran, so come summer, any royal would have fled to the higher, cooler imperial centers of Ecbatana or Persepolis. In Ecbatana, modern-day Hamadan, we find the tomb of Esther and Mordechai. The dome tomb structure, an ancient Jewish pilgrimage site, dates to the 13th century. It could have been built over a much more ancient burial site. Hebrew inscriptions on the walls and wooden tomb box declare this to be the resting place of Esther and her uncle.
The Megillah story is about a time when the villain called Haman tried to annihilate the Jewish people, and how they gathered together and united and managed to overcome the danger of annihilation.
Actually, beautiful women were called and summoned from all over the empire, 127 different nations at the time. Esther was chosen to replace Queen Vashti, who had fallen out of grace and favor with the king. Now Esther, Queen Esther, hid her identity as a Jew, but later this would work in favor of the Jewish people.
And she thinks, to spend the rest of her life soaking in all kinds of spices and oil. But Mordechai, her uncle, who is the male protagonist, says to her, it's time for you to act.
Mordechai encouraged Esther to take a stand for her people, saying, "Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this."
And there is a change in her character from a very subordinate, passive and non-meaningful woman. She becomes a leader. She becomes a savior of her nation.
Interestingly, the site of the Elamite Persian capital of Susa houses what is known as Shush Daniel, the tomb of Daniel, marked by an unusual tall white stone cone and a lavish interior. Daniel lived in Susa, or Shushan, during the captivity in the 6th century BC. It was here that he experienced the prophetic visions concerning later history, and it was in Susa that Nehemiah served as cupbearer to King Artaxerxes.
The whole scroll is problematic. The whole holiday is quite problematic in Jewish tradition because it's the king and the palace and the feasting and the wine drinking. It's not very Jewish. And the names of the main heroes, both Mordechai and Esther, are names that are probably related to Morduk and Astar, two gods of antiquity in Persia. Our sages were not very happy with this scroll and the story, but it is, you know, it's just one of these stories of good and bad, evil, that people love.
The reason Haman hated Mordecai and all the Jews was that after being promoted by the king to a very high ministerial position, like that of prime minister, he commanded all to bow and pay homage to him, for so the king commanded concerning him. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him homage, Haman was filled with wrath. He sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. Esther boldly intervened with the king. She could have faced the death penalty for approaching him without being summoned. My maids and I will fast, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. Now it happened on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace, while the king sat on his royal throne. So it was, when the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, that she found favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. Then Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter. And the king said to her, "What do you wish, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you up to half the kingdom." Cutting the story short a bit, Esther revealed her identity, exposed Haman's plot, saved her people, and the enemies of the Jews were destroyed. The Jews established and imposed upon themselves and their descendants, and all who would join them, that without fail they should celebrate these 2 days every year, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation.
Join Jackie Yaki and High Adventure Ministries as they embark on a journey of a lifetime to Israel's. Take a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee and be baptized in the Jordan River. Travel to Masada, Nazareth, Mount Carmel, Caesarea, and Bethlehem, the birthplace of Christ. Then walk where Jesus walked as you explore the magnificent city of Jerusalem. Space is limited, so call 1-800-517-HOPE. Make plans to attend today. That's 1-800-517-4673.
The entire scroll, or Megillat Esther, is read twice during Purim, emphasizing its importance in Judaism. But ironically, the name of God does not appear even once in the entire scroll. This has been a source of controversy over the centuries. Why is the book of Esther as part of the Tanakh? Some people say it shouldn't have been, some people say it should have been. Is there an answer to that?
It's been accepted that it was written with Ruach HaKodesh. How do you say that in English? I'm not sure, with real prophecy, and everything in it is profound and has deep hints in it and deep ideas about the way the world works and the way God works with the world, and it's one of the greatest books.
Another quirk in the Purim story is that the festival is celebrated on different days in different places. For example, we celebrated Purim yesterday in Cologne, but only today in Jerusalem's Mea Shearim neighborhood. But that's great for our purpose. Otherwise, we would have had to choose one place or the other for filming, and wouldn't have been able to show you the other. Why is Purim celebrated on a different day in Jerusalem than elsewhere?
Well, the source for that is in the Megillah itself, that there was a war against the enemies of the Jews that tried to destroy them. And outside of Shushan Habira, the capital in Persia at that time, so outside, they finished the fighting on the 13th of Adar, and they celebrated on the 14th. But in the main capital city, so they didn't finish the fighting until the 14th, and therefore they celebrated on the 15th. We follow this precedent that Shushan Habira, which was a walled city, So they celebrated on the 15th of Adar. And the other places which were not walled cities, they celebrate on the 14th of Adar.
Why does everybody dress up into costumes on Purim?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. That's my son. In the miracles before the miracle of Purim, there were revealed miracles, like the splitting of the Red Sea and the revelation on Har Sinai. Those were revealed miracles. The miracle on Purim was a hidden miracle. Nothing happened that wasn't natural. It's just that all the sequence of events ended up to be so exact. Everything that happened, everything that seemed bad ended up to be good, so it was a hidden miracle. So we follow that pattern, we hide ourselves with a mask. Just like God hid himself with a mask at that time.
I say that Purim is all about living in the present. Today's Purim, what happened yesterday, it's going to happen tomorrow. Today's the day where all the light comes down. It's Purim which got to celebrate. Chai.
L'chaim. Toda lechem. Mazal tov. All over Mea Shearim, men, women, and children carry home Purim gift baskets. Known as Mishloach Manot, which means sending presents, as it says, but the Jews who were at Shushan assembled together the 13th day as well as on the 14th, and made it a day of feasting and gladness and for sending presents to one another.
It's a very happy time, and it's the biggest happiness to share your happiness and with poor people and with your friends. It also has to do with generosity.
To send Mishloach Manot, this is, everybody sends sweets, but it's not sweets, it's supposed to be food. You send it to each other. And the other one is to send food for the needy.
During Purim, we extend our hands to the poor, and we are also exchanging gifts with one another. And this is how we do it. We put cookies, Oznei Haman, that is a must. With chocolate, lots of sweets. Happy Purim.
Now let's go over to Jerusalem's Ben Yehuda Street. It's only a 10-minute walk from Mea Shearim to Ben Yehuda, but each neighborhood represents a different world, maybe even a different universe. It's a fabulous day in Jerusalem as we've come to celebrate Purim. Let's go check out the action. Look at the children today, just enjoying Purim. Hey, be as little children.
שיש כזה חג, חג פורים נקרא, פורים. שמעתי שכל ילדים, איך הם חוגגים את הפורים. וברגע שתדע את הכל,
Now don't tell Batia about this big lady of mine. Is it fun?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, lots of really fun shows, magicians, dancers.
What does Purim mean to you?
To dress up and pretend to be someone else and to have fun with each other.
How come you didn't dress up as someone else?
I had Purim in a different city, and we don't have Purim on that day today, so it's only in Jerusalem.
Could you tell me why is it only in Jerusalem today?
This is a walled city, maybe. Shushan Purim.
How come Purim is celebrated in Jerusalem today?
I have no idea.
But you're enjoying it.
Yeah, of course.
I've been asking a lot of people. Some know the reason for Purim celebrations, but others don't know why the festivities fall on different days. Yet the bottom line is deliverance. God intervenes to save his people. That's what Purim is about, and the message of the scroll is one of hope for the future. What is so significant about Purim in light of historical events in the nation of Israel today?
The threats of annihilation from Iran, from ancient Persia, modern Iran, have grown and grown and grown, and of course in recent years with President Ahmadinejad stating almost every week that Israel will be wiped out. Well, this of course was exactly the decree that was issued by Haman, by the king, through Haman's instigation in ancient times. We will wipe out the Jewish people. And Purim obviously celebrates God's miraculous deliverance. It all goes back to the fact that there is a God and he exists, and even though the book of Esther is the only book in the Bible that doesn't directly mention God, his presence, his role there is so clearly obvious, and I think that's analogous to today where many Israelis are not that religious, but they're saying, well, we hope you're there, God, and that you can help us in this massive problem we're facing.
Thank you for being with us in Roots and Reflections, our program from Israel, bringing you insights to the land of the Bible, its history, natural beauty, people, food, tourism, and much more. Your donations to help produce Roots and Reflections are much appreciated.
Well, thank you for joining me again today. That was wonderful. I also want to thank my good friend Barry Siegel, the president and founder of Joseph's Storehouse. He's our partner and friend. Now listen, let me remind you, the Bible says, for all those who want to prosper and who will prosper, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hey